Spider-Man is way stronger than people think. Most people see him as a street-level hero, someone who fights bank robbers, street gangs, and the occasional supervillain. But that image is mostly there because Spider-Man chooses to hold back. In the comics, Peter Parker is constantly pulling his punches. He's worried about hurting people, losing control, or going too far. Because of that, a lot of his real strength never shows up on the page. But there are moments where Spider-Man does stop holding back, moments where the story lets him use his full strength. And when that happens, he's operating on a completely different level than most people expect. In this video, we're going to look at those moments, the feats that show just how strong Spider-Man actually is. So let's start with one moment that really shows what Spider-Man is capable of. One of those moments happens when Spider-Man crosses paths with Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer is a herald of Galactus. Even while holding back, he has the power to destroy planets. And yet Spider-Man is still able to react to him and even land hits. And it's not just Silver Surfer. Spider-Man also goes up against Fire-Lord, a cosmic being capable of destroying asteroids the size of small planets, and Spidey physically overwhelms him. Beyond that fight, Spider-Man has faced a wide range of other powerful opponents. Morlun, a guy who was stated to rival Thor and the Hulk in strength. Spider-Man himself says Morlun hits harder than he has ever been hit before. Spider-Man also proves his strength and skill on a more personal scale. When Peter is enraged, he's able to overpower Captain America, so much so that even Cap acknowledges Peter's superiority in that moment. He's consistently shown to overpower Wolverine in combat. Even at his best, Logan is no match for Spider-Man's speed, skill, and precision. Spider-Man has also faced the combined might of entire teams, including the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. Against these groups, he's often outnumbered, yet he finds ways to disrupt their coordination and create openings. Whether it's dodging multiple attacks at once or setting up clever counters, he consistently demonstrates that his effectiveness isn't just about strength, but also about strategy and adaptability in chaotic fights. He's also gone up against the Avengers, including heroes like Captain Marvel, Iron Man, and others. In these encounters, Spider-Man uses his intelligence, agility, and quick thinking to gain the upper hand, often outsmarting his opponents or finding ways to counter their abilities. These battles highlight that Peter Parker's mind is just as important a weapon as his webs and his speed. And even when facing heavy hitters like Thor and Hulk, Spider-Man is able to keep a pace. While he isn't necessarily stronger than them, his speed, precision, and combat instincts allow him to survive, defend himself, and even turn the tide in specific moments. These battles demonstrate that Spider-Man isn't limited to street-level fights. He can engage with top-tier heroes and villains while still coming out on top. Taken together, these feats show a hero who's more than the sum of his powers. Spider-Man combines strength, speed, skill, and intelligence in a way that allows him to consistently triumph over opponents who are often far stronger or more durable. Across the comics, whether it's single combat or facing multiple powerful adversaries, Peter Parker's abilities are shown to be far beyond what most people expect. Next, we go back to Silver Surfer, but this time he is bonded with Carnage. Carnage is a character who is relative to Venom who could give the Avengers trouble. A Carnage-bonded Silver Surfer is stronger than normal Silver Surfer, and Spidey is still able to damage and tank hits from Carnage-bond Silver Surfer. His feats doesn't end there. Spidey has fought the Hulk on numerous occasions. In rare instances, Spider-Man has even managed to put the Hulk down. He isn't only strong, but insanely fast, being able to dodge lasers and stated by Daredevil to move before bullets even fire. He's even able to tag Silver Surfer in some instances, and can react to Mjolnir, which can travel at massively faster than light speeds. His most consistent speed feat is dodging Electro's attacks, which would give him massively hypersonic plus speed. Now, before anyone jumps to the conclusion that Spider-Man only wins these fights because of plot or circumstance, there's one thing that needs to be addressed. Peter Parker is almost always holding back. And this isn't headcanon. It's not fan interpretation. It's something the comics consistently show and directly acknowledge. Spider-Man's strength is far beyond what most of his enemies, or even other heroes, can safely handle. He's strong enough that a single uncontrolled punch could permanently injure or outright kill a normal person. Peter knows this, and that knowledge fundamentally shapes how he fights. For Peter, winning a fight isn't about domination. It's about stopping the threat while doing as little damage as possible. That means pulling his punches, restraining his movements, and relying more on agility, webbing, and positioning rather than raw force. This restraint is directly tied to his core philosophy. With great power comes great responsibility. Peter doesn't see his strength as something to unleash freely. He sees it as something that must be controlled. Crossing that line, even once, risks turning him into the very thing he's trying to stop. And when Peter does stop holding back, the difference is immediate and undeniable. Characters who normally stand their ground are suddenly overwhelmed. Fights that would be competitive become one-sided. These moments aren't power boosts. They're simply Peter removing the limits he normally imposes on himself. That's why Spider-Man often looks like he's struggling. Even when his feet say otherwise, he isn't fighting at full capacity. He's fighting responsibly. It's even getting to the point where he holds back without even knowing. So when we talk about the character Spider-Man defeats and the level he consistently operates on, it's important to remember this. We're not looking at his maximum output. We're looking at a version of Peter Parker who is actively holding himself back every time he steps into a fight. It also depends on who's writing the story and what version of Spider-Man it is. When you actually look at everything together, Spider-Man being called street level stops making any sense. That label only exists if you ignore context, ignore consistency, and most importantly, ignore the fact that Peter Parker is constantly holding back. At his lowest, most conservative scaling, Spider-Man sits around city-to-mountain level attack potency with massively hypersonic plus speeds. And even that version of Peter is one that's actively pulling his punches, prioritizing restraint over damage, and fighting enemies without intent to seriously harm them. This is the version people usually lock him into, and it's already far beyond what most characters at his tier are capable of. If we move into a more reasonable mid-ball, where Peter is still holding back but actually pushing himself, his feats line up with large mountain-to-country level attack potency, paired with relativistic combat and reaction speeds. This is where his consistent showings against high-tier Marvel characters start to make sense. Characters who operate far above anything a street-level fighter should be able to handle. Then there's the version of Spider-Man people rarely want to acknowledge, Peter not holding back. In these moments, his scaling jumps dramatically. His attack potency reaches large country to star level, with faster-than-light to massively faster-than-light speeds, supported by direct feats, scaling, and interactions with cosmic and herald-level characters. These aren't random spikes, they're moments where Peter stops limiting himself and the gap becomes obvious. And finally, at his absolute highest end, we reach the most controversial but still defensible tier. Spider-Man has scaling that reaches large star to complex multiversal plus levels of attack potency with massively faster-than-light plus speed. This level is the least consistent, yes, but it's also not a pure outlier. It's backed by repeated interactions, narrative intent, and the same Marvel cosmology that applies to every other character people accept at these tiers without question. The difference is simple. Spider-Man is judged by his restraint, not his capability. Peter Parker isn't weak. He's responsible. And when you actually account for that, it becomes clear that Spider-Man isn't just underrated. He's one of the most misunderstood characters in all of fiction.